Hey everyone, welcome to Next Up Live. This is our first broadcast of 2021, so Happy New Year. If you haven't tuned in before, this is our live kind of interview show where we get to look at cybersecurity and fintech and a little bit of behind the scenes as to what we're doing here at NXTsoft. So I get to interview the fine people of NXTsoft, and today I have with me Starr Largin. Starr, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Starr is the director of vCISO. That's a virtual chief information security officer. She'll talk more about that later here at NXTsoft. And that is definitely within the realm of cybersecurity. So what I've titled today's interview, Starr, is Building a Breach Survival Kit, which might sound kind of intense, but I'm hoping to convince our viewers that it's not as intense as all that. Breach survival. When we talk about survival, obviously people think of, really dramatic situations of people like way off the grid. No one's going to really need to know all those crazy survival tips. But data breaches are everywhere. This is the kind of survival kit that people actually need. So my first question for you is, why should every organization take breach survival seriously?
Well, let's just look back at 2000, starting in 2019, and then let's look in 2020 and what they're predicting for 2021. It seemed like in 2019, especially towards the end, every time you turned on the news, someone else is being hacked, information is being held for ransom, and it did not matter what type of institution you were with, whether it was healthcare, government agency, financial institution, large and small institutions was being impacted by this. So that's why it's important to have a plan for cybersecurity, because don't think it's not going to happen to you. What you need to realize is it's probably going to happen to me. How prepared am I, and what do I need to do to get prepared?
Right. It's a total change in attitude. I think a lot of people think, well, that'll never happen to me, or if it does, then I can scramble and come up with some kind of plan. That's a mess. You don't want to do that. So I know you talk to a lot of organizations, and one of the questions you've told me is one of the first questions you ask them is, so if you get breached, how do you respond? What's your first step? And what do these organizations tell you? What do they usually do?
Well, it's kind of like, first of all, they go into the fear factor because they're always thinking it's never going to happen to me. It's going to happen to a large institution. I don't need to worry about that. Or I have an IT staff, or I have, some things in place. But when it really happens, have they tested that plan? Do they know that that plan is going to impact? How is it going to impact their institution? How frequently are they doing backups? So most of the time, when it first happens, it's that numbness effect where they don't know what to do. They pick up the phone and they're trying to call for help, but they really don't know who to call. Because just because somebody is in IT does not mean that they have breach experience.
Sure.
With a lot of institutions, they might not have a breach team and they might not know how to work a breach. So a lot of times it's kind of like they go into that fear factor of, I wasn't as prepared as what I thought I would be.
Sure. If I'm one of those, let's say I'm one of those organizations and I want to be prepared. I don't want to be in that situation. What do I need in my toolkit? What do I need in that breach survival preparation kit? What are the
Well, first of all, you've got to have a plan in place. You've got to have policies. Do you have cybersecurity insurance? Do you have things in place to help you prevent you from having a breach, such as, do you have somebody managing your firewalls? Are you training your employees? What are you doing for cybersecurity? Internal and external vulnerability scans. You need to look at your whole infrastructure and determine exactly what you have in place and what you need to implement.
Okay. So this sounds like, like you're saying, it's not just something that you just tack on to someone, in IT. They're kind of like an afterthought. Oh, by the way, like, make sure we're good on security. You really need someone who's fairly, experienced in the field, and they can put some dedicated resources, energy, and time into cyber preparation, right?
Yes, that's correct. They need to have a plan in place. They need to have a team that they can call on for help. If they do not have that expertise within their organization, then they need to realize that and get a plan for it and partner with somebody. Partner with someone that when they have a breach, they can reach out to them immediately for assistance and that they will act on that and get them up and running. Because what they need to remember is every moment that they're down is costing that institution not only in revenue, but it's also costing them in reputation. So the faster they can get back up and going, the faster it is to recover. And in order to do that, they need to have a game plan. They need to know exactly what they're going to do. And most of the time, that's going to include them partnering with a company.
Sure. Yeah, because most organizations don't have the resources to hire someone internally to have a dedicated focus on this. And that role for that really would be a CISO, so Chief Information Security Officer. Can you tell me a little bit about what, if a company has the resources to have a CISO, what is that person doing?
If they have the resources for a CISO, and a lot of institutions do not because they're small, or they might be in an area that they cannot find someone with that expertise. A Chief Information Security Officer is that's their primary job. That is their ultimate job every day to do, is to keep the security level of their institution where it needs to be and to be testing everything at all times, keeping their policies up to date. Looking at vulnerability scans, doing an IT risk assessment, looking at everything and working those, and having audits not only from third party, but a lot of institutions they're regulated. So they're getting double layers of audits that they're having to work on.
Sure. So obviously here at NXTsoft, we have a lot of expertise in the field of cybersecurity. What are we doing to kind of confront this problem that a lot of organizations have where they don't have their breach survival kit put together? They don't really have a plan. How do we fit into that narrative?
Well, a lot of times people will ask me, how are we different than our competitors? Well, with our complete package, we offer not only cybersecurity education, phishing, policy templates, we offer instant response plan, internal, external vulnerability scans, risk assessment, the list goes on and on. A lot of our competitors, they might do one portion of it, but not the complete package. So that's what puts us different. But what also puts us different is our history. NXTsoft, David Brassfield, the CEO, in a former company that we own, we did core processing for financial institutions, and we ran a data center. So when you run a data center, you're regulated just as highly as those financial institutions. So you can imagine how many IT examinations we have went through over the years. Well, we have that expertise, but then NXTsoft, we had actually purchased two other companies over the years. One is Digital out of Atlanta, Georgia, and DDS out of Mobile, Alabama. We combined them with our staff. Those two institutions had been doing everything related to IT for about 25 years or so. So we took the expertise of those two companies and ourselves of doing core processing, and we launched a vCISO. And the reason why we did that, Ben, is the fact before we started doing that, we had a breach team, and they had worked breaches across the United States, and they had seen firsthand methods that hackers have used to gain access to systems. Therefore, we saw that. That makes us different than your IT department. Your IT department, their expertise and their experience level is based on those four walls of that institution. Whereas with us, we have more exposure, and you learn by your exposure. So what we did was we had seen when we'd worked those breaches, how insurance companies would come in, and first thing that they would say is, what things did you put in place to prevent this from happening? What they were trying to determine is that they did not put things in place, therefore they should not have to pay the full amount of that claim. So when we saw that, we knew that financial institutions, government agencies, healthcare, everybody needed help with cybersecurity. And they also needed an IT security dashboard, bringing in all of that information into one centralized location. So we started our vCISO team. You would have a team of chief information security officers, expertise individuals that you would have access to 24/7. We provide you with a complete package, but then we also allow you that you can customize your package based on the needs of your institution. Now, if you select the complete package that includes the vulnerability scans, the annual IT risk assessment, policy procedures, the list go on and on. If you select that, it also comes with a warranty, a $500,000 warranty that in the event of a breach, you have a plan that's going to go in effect immediately, that's going to cover not only the cost of our team to get you up and going, but also other costs that might occur from having a breach. And that is what makes us different than a lot of our competitors.
Excellent. Thanks, Starr. Yeah, that I love the fact that we're combining not only like a killer tool set of our like ready-made breach survival kit that can be tailored to any size organization, but we're combining that with this expertise that you just can't manufacture out of nowhere. So we're not only giving you the tools and the dashboard and the unified place for them to be, but we're also giving you access to a team of experts that can tell you how to use all those things and better protect your organization. So thanks a bunch for your time today, Starr. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben, and I hope you have a great day and hope everybody else does the same.
You too. And if you're watching and you're interested, check out nextsoft.com/security. You can learn a lot more about vCISO and our other cybersecurity solutions. So thanks a bunch.